What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a great Monday. It is May 23rd, 2022. This is the Slate. We are a DraftKings show that joins you every weekday, Monday through Friday. We join you in the 5 o'clock hour. After that 4 o'clock Madden Sim, we take you up until about 6 o'clock-ish, talking really what's on deck tonight. And when Jeff Ulrich's here, we talk a lot of golf. We talk some hockey on a Monday as well. But really, we entertain anything and everything, pending what is happening in the world of sports over on the DraftKings Sportsbook. Also, DraftKings.com, looking at some contests as we look ahead to the Charles Schwab Challenge later this week. We've also got a couple of NHL playoff games tonight, Stanley Cup playoffs rolling on. We'll get to those. Do want to react a little bit to what happened down the stretch yesterday at the PGA Championship, Jeff Ulrich. That was some theatrics, to say the least.
Is a fun end. I mean, not fun if you had like a Mito Pereira, big ticket or something like that. Not fun if you were just a fan of Mito Pereira either, because you just hate to see people lose like that. I mean, I know it creates big drama and it's crazy, but like, you just kind of feel like he didn't really deserve that. Like, he played aggressive the whole week. He'd been good. He didn't chicken out in the big moment. It just, the drive was just a touch off. He just got a touch too aggressive. And, I heard some people say, well, why didn't he take 3-wood there? It's a really tough hole. You put yourself at the back, you're just bringing in bogey. Like, I think going with driver there is actually fine. I think where he did screw up was, and I think Colin Sherwin on the Sweat this morning mentioned this. I think it was Colin. He didn't hit a good approach. Like, when he got the drop, he still was in play to make the playoff. He just needed to make a bogey, but he couldn't even hit the green on his approach. I think that's where he kind of felt, the letdown kind of felt. But I don't really hate the play off the tee. Mito Pereira is a player who, you saw him after the round. He came, stood up, answered the questions.
Yes. He's
going to win. He's a very good young player. I don't know about majors and stuff. It's a really big lost opportunity. I'm not trying to downplay it, but he's a good player. He'll bounce back. I would definitely stay on him in the future. Maybe not this week, because it's a little bit too big a ask to maybe after that kind of collapse. But yeah, other than that, Justin Thomas, I mean, just like, and just the playoff is just the epitome of how good Justin Thomas is at golf. Hits the wedge on the par 5 to make up for a bad drive, gets birdie, hits an amazing 3-wood, comes back, pounds his drive on the par 4, hits an approach to where he basically can't 3-putt, and he wins. And it's just, the guy's just good at golf. And, the fact he went with almost a year without a win, it speaks to the competitiveness of the PGA Tour, but it's also just, how kind of, these guys go through ebbs and flows. Justin Thomas is just, he's the most complete golfer in the game right now. I'm not saying that necessarily as a reaction either to the win. I mean, the win definitely solidifies that, but I think when you look across the board, Scotty Scheffler, definitely very, very good too, and probably definitely deserves to be in the conversation with that. Rahm and Morikawa too, but I think Justin Thomas does everything well. And sometimes the putter can get a little cold, like it can for all the players, but such a good player, man. Such a good, just an incredible Sunday for him. Really, just like a championship Sunday,
Deservingly so. As you wrote up in the over on the DraftKings playbook, you can find it under the PGA tab. Jeff has the cheat sheet ready for the Charles Schwab Challenge this coming week on the PGA Tour. Justin Thomas is the betting favorite at plus, I think it's plus 800. Yes, plus 800 to take it home after winning the playoff over Zalatoris. Any interest in riding Thomas again, or is this a situation where you want to fade the winner going into this week?
So, okay. So yeah, for the odds this week, sorry, I was just reading a tweet. Justin Thomas, the well-deserved favorite. You could probably even make an argument he could be like plus 700 in the field, but no, there's no way I'm taking him after, that long an afternoon on Sunday. Just a huge effort, obviously, and coming to a course in Colonial where, tee to green and all that matters, but where we can also see players like, Kevin Na, Kevin Kisner get hot with the putter and really compete. It's an event where if you're going to bet the top of the board, at least go down a few notches and look for some value, with guys like hopefully pushing in the plus 2,000 range. Now, I say that there's not really anyone in the plus 2,000 range that I want to hit. I wish Morikawa was like plus 16, plus 1,800, because that's where I would go. I do think Colin Morikawa starting to find that rhythm a little bit on the season. He was very good early, had a blip. It seems to be pretty consistently coming for him again, hitting a ton of fairways, loves this setup. Lost in a playoff here in 2020, was top 20 here last year. But plus 1,200, I just don't think the number's big enough. If you want to start your cards, that's where I would start if you really want to bet one of the four big guys. I know Spieth kind of owns it here, but I'd probably side with Morikawa. Realistically, I'm not hitting up any one of those guys. Definitely will be starting like, plus 3,000 or bigger.
Like I said, I'm looking at Jeff's article right now. Very, very extensive preview for what to expect this coming weekend. What are some other things, in more specifically for Charles Schwab, when you, at this point in the year, we're getting deeper into the season, right? So we're riding a lot of trends. There's a lot that now we can sink our teeth into. But what are some key factors? You kind of mentioned the course a bit there too. More specifically, we talk, putting circumstances. How about off the tee? Weather, of course, weather is more of a thing you discuss later in the week because you get more of an idea of what it's going to look like. But what are some tidbits that you're eyeing more specifically for this kind of event?
Yeah, so this is more of a technical track. Like the rough isn't going to be as up. There are tough holes on this. It's a not what you call like a short par 70. There's some longer par fours, and it's made longer by the fact they're really skinny fairways to hit. And if you hit it too far off, like the trees are really old here. It's just an old course. And if you hit it too far off track, you kind of get blocked out on your approach. So accuracy off the tee is definitely, this is one of the courses, this and like Hilton Head especially, where if you're just not accurate off the tee, it can kind of bite you in a different way. Like in the PGA, we saw like it's just the distance, you're so far from the green and then you can't hold the greens. Here, it's more like, you just don't have a shot, like you're just blocked out. So, accuracy off the tee matters. Doesn't mean you can't play power hitters, but you've got to play guys who are good at clubbing down, good at still hitting fairways. And then it just becomes an approach and putting game where, guys who can get hot with mid to short irons and then get hot with the putter as well. These bent grass greens tend to run really pure. It's a really low 3-putt percentage here. Like guys just don't 3-putt that much. So, we see elite putters here spike for like big weeks. Like Kevin Kisner gained like 8 strokes putting the week he won. Spieth gained like 7 strokes putting last year. I think when Na won, he gained like 8 strokes putting. These guys, once they get in rhythm on these greens, they just will not miss. So you don't necessarily like putting isn't a stat that you necessarily like weigh or look at, but it's tended to be when you're betting outrights, like if you have the difference between like two guys are equal in your mind and one is just a more elite putter and has more spike weeks, you should go with that guy here because there's just a bigger chance that he's just going to get in tune with that club and he just won't miss. So that's a big factor here, but realistically it plays as, a classic par 70 course, some dog legs, accuracy triumphs over power. And, you've got to have a guy trending well tee to green as well. It's kind of tricky green structures with like a bunch of sand too. So people trending well, in short-term approach stats, that's who I want. And like I said, taking a look at guys who can really spike with the putter.
Okay. So who comes to mind, especially when we look for those value adds into lineups, or even some guys that could finish top 20? We get some better odds as we move down that board here on the sports book.
Yeah. So, I mean, Abraham ANCER, you know, the other thing about this track, it does tend to be like a veteran friendly track where, you know, you play it a few times, you learn the quirks on it, and, you know, it just, like, course knowledge helps. And you see that in the results. Like guys like Brian Harman, these guys are just all over the leaderboards every year. And Abraham ANCER is a great young player. He's third in driving accuracy off the tee. You know, his mid to long iron game can get really hot, and his putter can get really hot too. He's actually really good on bent grass greens, like over the last 50 rounds. So I look at ANCER as like the prototype here. You know, he's going to hit a ton of fairways. He's not going to get in trouble off the tee. The iron game has been on the uptick. Gained the most strokes on approach last week. And then, like I just mentioned, the putter. I mean, yeah, the putter is going to be what it is. It's for all these players. But ANCER is a player who can go out and gain you 6 strokes putting. And that's what you realistically need to win. The last 6 winners of this event have all gained 5 strokes or more putting. So, you know, again, you need to be mindful of it. It doesn't need to be like the only decision maker that a guy is an elite putter, but you know, you need to be mindful of it. And I just look at ANCER in these odds, and I just think he's the prototype. He's plus 4,000 on DraftKings. That is a fine number, I think, to bet Abraham ANCER on this course, especially coming off a solid finish, and just the fact he's looked better late. So that is 100% where I'm starting. There's other names in that range. Webb Simpson is someone I'm going to take a look at today. He may get added to. Gary Woodland at plus 5,000. He's been good, and Woodland's improved as a putter. You know, like if this was like 4 years ago, I'd probably say I just don't think Woodland can sink enough putts, but he has actually improved to the point he's like top 25 in strokes gained putting on bent grass greens too. So I like Woodland quite a bit this week. He's been a little bit up and down with some missed cuts, but again, we're getting him at plus 5,000. And I think that's a really good number. You look at guys like Gooch down there, you know, even like Fleetwood coming off a good week. Woodland's been over leaderboard. He's got like 3 top 10s his last like 8 starts. So, or something to that effect, maybe top 15s, but I like Woodland for this setup too. I definitely think this is a place where Woodland could potentially get it done.
You mentioned in your article that, and I'm curious, every week we do this, we go through the event. And again, I realize it's early, it's Monday, you put out the cheat sheet. And like you said, you're not going to, it's impossible to go through every golfer that you've got interest in. I mean, you mentioned ANCER off the top. I think you'll have more to elaborate on him in just a second, but you do believe this particular week, based on what you've laid out about putting and the course layout, that course history does matter. So that would then reflect why you have some belief in Jordan Spieth and Kevin Na.
Absolutely. I mean, like, look, and if we're talking about this from a DFS perspective, like, I mean, if you're going to start lineups, like Jordan Spieth's course history at Colonial is ridiculous. I mean, it's a perfect setup for Jordan Spieth too. And it's perfect from the sense that it's so approach driven, and it's obviously like, you know, he can work his magic around the greens too. And he's putted really well at Colonial. Like I said, he gained 7 strokes putting here last year. So he clearly likes the place. You know, you see his last win, RBC Heritage. There's probably not 2 better correlated courses just in terms of setup than Hilton Head and Colonial on tour. Like realistically, they're just both 2 old classic courses, dog legs, tight fairways, really small greens. They're like mirrors of each other, essentially, in a lot of ways. There's some differences about them, you know, different green types and stuff like that, but they're set up similar in a lot of aspects. So, you know, Jordan Spieth, if you're starting in DFS, I completely understand like using him even over Morikawa. I think Morikawa is probably where I would prefer for GPPs, but Spieth in DFS, if anything, he's probably underpriced, just because of how good he is at this course. He should probably be like 10-9 or something, like just under Justin Thomas, or maybe even like, you know, Justin Thomas and Spieth should be like above Scheffler. Like, I mean, I think that's how good Jordan Spieth, is at this course. So I definitely think he's underpriced. You should definitely consider him in like, you know, a cash game lineups. And Kevin Na is just like, you know, he's like the poor man's Jordan Spieth in some ways, right? I mean, he does a lot of things good. He's definitely not as consistently good as Jordan Spieth. I'm not saying that, but the approach game is on the uptick for Kevin Na. He's got a fantastic short game that does rival Jordan Spieth actually when it's on. And he's just again, he's like a guy who, when that putter gets hot with Kevin Na, man, like he's gained 14 strokes putting. And these courses, they just don't penalize guys like Na for what they do off the tee, which is like not great for Kevin Na. So obviously played pretty well late, held his own on a long course at the PGA Championship. The only thing I worry about some of these guys, and like Na could be included in this, is that it's such a long week at the PGA. You almost wonder if it's like an advantage to just have missed the cut there. We did see, I don't know if it was last year. I think it was in 2019. Actually, yeah, was it in 2019? Na actually missed the cut at the PGA Championship and then came and won at Colonial. So that kind of tells you maybe there is something to that. But I'm not going to fade all the guys who made the cut last week, obviously. I'm just throwing that out there. Na's a great play at 8,100. So is Brian Harman. Very similar type of player. He's got a great record at Colonial, Brian Harman. Bunch of top 15s. I don't know if he's ever missed the cut here. So Harman, Na, really good values down there. And then obviously Jordan Spieth. He's just a little bit underpriced.
So yeah, Na, like you said, 19 won the event, 2018 finished top 5. So he's got that going for him as well. And the key thing too with Spieth is, and you map this out in your write-up. Again, it's on the DraftKings playbook, everyone, the PGA section. It's the latest article. Jeff's got a cheat sheet out, DFS, sports betting, whatever angle you'd like to take in terms of getting involved with Charles Schwab this week. Spieth being from the area too, he's used to the climate, and we had a hot weekend, hot couple days last week at the PGA Championship. I'm wondering now if we're, like you said, we're going to start moving away from the inconsistency of the weather. Like it'll be warmer for sure, but hopefully now we're at a stage where a little more consistency. I think you mentioned Thursday could be a little, and easy to say that now because Thursday, of course, is the closest day when the event starts. But it looks like we're going to be okay for the weekend.
Yeah, the weather this week looks like mostly a non-factor. Might get a little bit windy on Sunday, but there's like no rain in the forecast. The wind is really low for the first 2 days. Yeah, look, it's Texas, so that could change a little bit. You could get one of the afternoons getting a little bit of wind up, but it really doesn't look like much. Sunny skies. So Sunday is actually could be interesting. It could definitely play tougher on Sunday. And the one thing I'll say about this event too, you typically see like really grouped leaderboards. Like it's a rare when you've gotten to Colonial. I think Justin Rose, when he won, he maybe broke free from the pack a little bit that year, but even him, I think he had a couple guys chasing him. But you see really grouped leaderboards where guys are just tight. Like there'll be like 20 players within like 3 strokes of the lead going into Sunday. We've definitely seen that at Colonial before. So kind of a good event for live betting as well, in my opinion.
Okay.
For that reason. That's another reason why, like, I don't mind. Like, I'd rather go quantity over quality for this event. Like, if there's just so many guys in the 3,000 to kind of even like 10,000 range who could just get themselves in contention to where they're in a spot on Sunday where you have a chance. Because this course, there's not a ton of like birdie opportunities. There's one par 5 that's scoreable. The other one's like 630 yards. And, the winning score has been like 14, 15 under here the last couple of years. It hasn't been that high. So I think you'll see a lot of players grouped together on Sunday, and it's just whoever can get hot with the putter on Sunday. So lots of players who, I'm looking at will have chances. Some players I like more than others, obviously. We'll go over a few more, but it's an event where, if you typically like take a guy at the top and then add a few more, I'd probably just bypass the guys at the top and try and add like, an extra player or two to your card.
Talk about your sleeper for us. I've got him right here highlighted.
Jaeger bombs. Stephan Jaeger, man. I love Stephan Jaeger. Shot a 58 on the Korn Ferry Tour like 5 years ago. He's a 6-time winner on the Korn Ferry Tour. Actually, really interesting note. I don't know how many people actually know this. Him and Mito Pereira last season on the Korn Ferry Tour, 2020 to 2021, they both had 2 wins. And to get an automatic exemption into the PGA Tour, you need to win 3 times in a season. And they were in a playoff together. And Pereira beat him. But like Jaeger also had 2 wins and a playoff loss in the same season that Mito did. So we're talking about a guy with a lot of talent. He's a really talented golfer. I'm telling you. I know his results on the PGA Tour inconsistent. This guy's got an elite short game. He can get red hot with the putter, which we like. And you look at his results, his ball striking has been on a major uptick. He's gained 4 strokes on approach each of his last 2 times out. He will win. I am very confident. I've thought this for a few years now because I've used to bet the Korn Ferry Tour consistently. I certainly still keep track of it. Stephan Jaeger will win on PGA Tour at some point. He's a confident guy. He's very talented. And I'm not saying it's going to be this week, but this is probably the best he's ever struck the ball on the PGA Tour, like 3 events in a row.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very interested in him this week. Extremely interested. Whether you want to bet him as a top 10 or like an outright, I don't care. But, you know, at him at plus 20,000, excuse me, I'm like, there's no way I'm not taking a piece of that. And plus 1,400 for a top 10, we'll take that too. I'd even I actually even go deeper. I'd go top 5. Like, if he gets hot with the putter this week, his approach game is clicking. And, you know, we've seen guys like Na who like just, you know, aren't good off the tee. Jaeger's very similar to Kevin Na in his game. You look at them, they're both really highly ranked in around the green. And when they get hot on the approaches, you know, they can sink a lot of birdies on courses like this. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a flash in the pan. He got hot with the irons for a couple of weeks. He'll regress this week, but I'm telling you, this guy has the talent. Like I'm a firm believer that, you know, he's not going to be like a guy who like, you know, competes in majors consistently, but I definitely think he can spike like Kevin Na and grab a couple wins on these quirky little courses. So yeah, that's my sleeper for the week. I'm not going to lie. I'm betting a big plus like these numbers. I really think that this is a good time to take a shot with Stephan Jaeger if you're in the market for a big long shot. So.
Okay, very good. And that obviously means you're into him at 6,800.
Absolutely. Oh yeah,
DFS
no, for
format.
DFS, I mean, same rules apply. You know, you look at him as a bit of a higher variance play. Obviously, he has played really consistently though, so I don't even know.
That's 3 events, right? That. He's been under par
at 6,800, man. Like at the very least, if his putter shows up this week and he keeps striking the ball well, he should make you a bundle of birdies, even if he makes like too many bogeys to get into contention. There should be a ton of birdies. And you look at him for DFS too. That's kind of been the case. Like his birdie rate over the last 3 events, it's been fantastic. You look at his DFS scores, 107 at the Byron, 78 at the Wells Fargo on a really tough event. He made 15 birdies. And then he made 15 birdies and 3 eagles in Mexico, man. Like he's been great for DFS. So I had no reason to not ride him for another week here. Again, I think it's a kind of course where some of the best attributes of his game right now will show up. So
any other golf notes you want to get off your chest before Wednesday, or you want to move over to hockey?
No, I think we mentioned a lot of the players that I like. I mean, you know, I mentioned the kind of, you know, area where I like to be targeting for betting in these type of events where the course kind of just brings more people into play. You know, guys like Abe Ancer, Woodland. I might even take a look at Maverick McNeely this week, who's been really consistent. And I know he's coming off a bad week, but again, I just wouldn't fault guys too much who had a bad PGA Championship. If anything, them being out of contention just means I'm probably going to come in well rested. So Maverick McNeely, a name at plus 7,000, I'm probably going to take a look at. But yeah, that's the way you should be approaching this one, man. I'm like the leaderboard will be bunched most likely on Sunday. You're going to see like 15 guys with a shot. And what would you rather have? 2 guys at like from 40 to 1 or like 1 guy with 20 to 1? I think you go quantity over quality this week.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and we found out, I mean, it didn't happen the way everyone expected it, but it turned out to be kind of a race at the end yesterday because of the unfortunate, I almost said something I probably shouldn't say on the air. Let me think of a way of saying it. Something went down the leg of the golfer.
The pooping pants?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say that, but like in a different way that would have sounded inappropriate. But
yes, with a bad word. No, exactly right. So Sundays on the PGA, anything can happen. Let's put it that way, including, you know, guys, you know, anyways.
Yes, I follow. Fill in the blank at home. Real quick, we got a bit of news. I mean, we do call the show the Slate. It is worthy of mentioning news that relates to the slate of games being played. It's basketball news. We are not a Celtic show. We're only a Celtic show when there's a certain host in the chair. But we will give you news when it's appropriate. Celtics center Robert Williams, knee injury. He's been dealing with a knee. Expected to play tonight against the Miami Heat. I'm just curious if that changed the line. Celtics are 7.5-point favorites tonight. Sheesh. Wow. They are minus 330. I mean, they've been very good off a loss. Their record off a loss since January is like 15-2, something like that. It's insane.
That's a big number.
That is a big number. You want to bet the Celtics on the money line? You had to lay $335 to win 100. That's woo. They better not lose tonight, or heads might roll. Anywho, let's go to the hockey because that's where Jeff. That's where Jeff, I don't have a pick on the game. 7.5 is a lot of points. I go Celtics. That's all I got for you.
I'd probably just take the Heat money line.
Yeah, there you go. Good for you. As a Celtics employee, I can't co-sign with that. So, okay, Panthers Lightning. Our pal Kyle's in the chat. Kyle's a big Lightning fan. Are the Lightning going to complete the sweep, or does Florida have any life? Or is it even worth talking about? Like, this is over, right? Tampa's winning the series.
Yeah, it's over. Here's my take on what's going to happen tonight. I'm not going to call a winner. I do think this game has a lot of potential, maybe to go to overtime. I'm actually even interested in betting it to go to overtime. I think my favorite bet is Florida to score first, plus 105. I think you're going to see Florida just come out of the gates. I've just seen this story so many times in hockey. When teams get down 3-0, it's weird to say, but the pressure is actually off at this point. Everyone's basically admitted defeat. But what replaces that is pride and a feeling of just freeness in the sense that, okay, that's fine. You took the series. Guess what? You got to still win this last game, and we're going to make it as tough for you as possible by just coming out gangbusters. And I think that Florida probably throws a ton of pucks to the net tonight. They probably keep it competitive at the very least. And I think you'll see a close, tight game. Now, Tampa's just like so good at winning those games that they probably will win it. But I think there's a chance you see overtime. I think Florida gets a ton of pucks to the net early. And I think that I like betting on the Panthers to get the first goal. So that's definitely a prop I'm looking at. I'd also look at the over on some of the Florida Panthers shooters for betting props, like Sam Bennett, Sam Reinhart, both of them at 2.5 to go over. Like Sam Bennett is a guy who gets 6 shots on goal in like one period. So that's definitely something they just
you're talking shots or shots on goal?
Shots on goal. Well,
okay.
It's the same thing.
True.
Unless there's a different type of shots.
Well, shot
like
that
after the game,
a shot that is a shot that goes wide.
Yeah.
You know?
No, they only offer shots on goal props. So yeah, okay. That's it.
Got it.
Yeah. So Bennett at minus 145 to go over, and then we got Sam Reinhart just underneath him, plus 115. Like I like both those bets. Obviously, you're getting better value on Reinhart, but Bennett is like the higher volume shooter. So I do like both those numbers on both those guys. They're honestly, if you've just bet them over most games during the year too, like you probably profited. So that's just something I'm looking at tonight. Like I said, I kind of like that Florida to score first prop. I actually don't mind taking a shot with the overtime prop, even though I know that one can be a little bit silly, but yeah, that's how I'm approaching this game. I think you'll see another tight game. You know, the line's down to 6, it's no more 6.5. So probably just stay away from that.
What are the odds on Florida to score first? I'm having trouble finding that.
Yeah, no, go to game props.
Yep.
Should be under there.
Score. Here we go. Score.
Yeah.
First goal.
So plus 105.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
So there you go. Yeah. Plus money for Florida to get the first goal. I like that.
In Tampa?
What's that?
It's in Tampa. I mean, that doesn't mean, I know in hockey, the home ice doesn't matter.
No, I get it. I mean, that's the reason why that we're getting plus 105.
Urgency.
Yeah, I'm playing the game 4 angle, the 3-0 angle.
Right. And it's actually, the more I think about it, in like any playoff series, hockey or basketball, in a 7-game series, you're up 3-0. Is Tampa just going to kind of coast here, right? So, right, Florida might be the more hungry team out of the gate to save itself from embarrassment.
I mean, look, I don't think Tampa's going to coast. I just think that you'll see a very concerted first period effort by Florida to make things as tough as possible for Tampa tonight. Let's put it that way. So,
okay.
yeah, I like that one. Anyways.
What's our feeling on Colorado St. Louis? This has turned out to be a pretty fun series.
Yeah, an interesting one for sure. Ville Husso going to start in net tonight. Binnington hurt, obviously. I like Husso though. Like I don't necessarily want to fade the Blues altogether just because of that. Like I think Ville Husso over 31.5 saves is actually a prop I like. If you go to player props,
yep,
should be one of the first ones there, saves. But yeah, so I don't mind that. Like Ville Husso was better at home too. He had a .921 save percentage at home this year. He was a little bit more inconsistent down the stretch. That's why Binnington was getting work, but he's a good goalie. Like he's a good young goalie. And I think that with him, now having a chance to mentally realize he's the only option, he's in net. I think you'll see a different Ville Husso tonight. So I like that one. Vladimir Tarasenko too. It's interesting. He's minus 125 last I checked. It might even be better odds than that. If you go up to score a point props.
Here we go. Where's our friend?
I think he's at the bottom.
There he is, Tarasenko.
Minus 125 to score a point. Like this guy was so hot down the stretch, and now you're getting minus 125 just for him to get on the board at home. He was more efficient scorer at home this year. So again, I just look at that one. The number just seems a little bit off to me. I get that the Colorado's like favored here, but I kind of like that number on Tarasenko. I don't think the Blues will get shut out or anything like that. I think you'll see a fairly close game in this one, but yeah, Tarasenko to score a point. That was a prop I didn't mind either. I'm not sure if I'm going to touch the money lines on either of these games. I'm probably just going to play the props. I like the way the props are set up, and some of the game props as well, rather than just playing it. Like Colorado is you could certainly make a case to me that like Colorado maybe is just undervalued. You should just be putting everything on Colorado minus 165. Yep. They were the better team, the clearly better team 5-5 during the year. St. Louis, now they're backup goalie, the penalty kills. So I'm not necessarily going to go out on a limb here and with the Blues as an underdog. If anything in this game, I would probably bet the favorite Avalanche. Whereas in the other game, I might lean towards the Panthers, but probably going to stay away from the money lines here. With a lean towards my favorite money line play with like gun to your head kind of thing would be probably the Avalanche at minus 165.
Okay. How do you feel about the totals?
Yeah, totals on these, again, that Florida Panther one, like if that was a 6.5, I'd play the under. I still would probably lean towards the under at 6. The Avalanche and Blues one is interesting. You got Darcy Kemper playing well again. I really don't want to fade that. That one is just not a play to me. I think if it was 6, it would be an easier decision, but there's too many like variables with Husso. I mean, my first inclination is take the under because I think that Ville Husso will show up tonight. I just finished talking about him, but I just really don't want to bet against the Colorado offense. So I think that number is very correct at 6.5. You see it is a little bit of juice to take the over, but it's just a stay away from me. It's not really a big lean either way.
First 2 games of the series went under, 5 goals in each of the first 2. And then Colorado won 5-2 on Saturday. That hit the over.
Yeah. And that's kind of what worries me about taking the under is the Avalanche's offense just maybe takes that momentum and just like builds on it. And you see like a 6 or 7 goal output, which is very, very, very could happen with Colorado. So
yes. I mean, I guess if you like St. Louis tonight, then you do consider
the under. I would consider the under if you're on St. Louis. Absolutely. I think the under in St. Louis does make some sense because if St. Louis wins, it's probably like Ville Husso's probably gonna make like 40 saves. So
right. And that's back to what you said about the prop. So
yeah. And look, Husso could hit that prop even if he lets in 5 goals. That's why I like that Ville Husso prop. He ain't getting pulled because it's not like there's a great goalie behind him. I mean, he could get pulled if he lets in like 5 goals on 5 shots, but like he's probably staying in there the whole game. So even if it's like 5-2 St. Louis or Colorado going into the third, like Ville Husso probably going to, he's the guy, right? So
I was just attempting to build a same game parlay, but I don't think you can include saves.
No, I don't think they'd let you do that for the same game parlays.
Oh, that's a bummer because I was like,
It's a
oh,
bummer.
it just kind of sounded like we just came up with one to back maybe a.
Well, if you're doing a same game parlay, I like that Florida Tampa one a little bit better
Okay,
because
all
you can
right.
do the shots on goal props. We could get the first. I think you should be able to get the first goal scored in too. I think
Yep. So you got
Yep.
Florida minus 110 first goal.
you could get some of those shots on goal props. I mean, hey, if you really want to get crazy, you could play like overtime too.
Shots on goal, shots on goal, shots on goal. I don't know if you can do that.
Oh, maybe you can't do that.
It's ever changing. It really is.
It is. It's kind of like, all right, well, we could take like Sam Bennett to score a goal then. I don't know.
Okay. Where's our friend? There he is. Okay. Plus 400.
You could go, you could take like what's the Panthers prop, like team total prop?
Total goals.
Go over 2.5. What are we at?
Plus 475. Florida to score first. Bennett anytime. Over 2.5 for Florida.
Can you get OT in there too?
No. Game props. Overtime.
Oh, there we go.
Now we're talking.
3-3. I don't know, but take the over 2.5. No, leave it. That's perfect. I love that.
Yeah.
There. Plus 2,200. Florida to score the first goal. Sam Bennett to score. Over 2.5 Florida. And then yes to the OT. So we're going to get 3-3 game. You bookmark this. Take a screenshot. We'll celebrate it later tonight.
Daniel, pardon me. I just made this jumbo sized so people can see it. Because I know it's tough because it's like we do the screen share and it's veered off to the right. Florida first goal. Sam Bennett anytime goal scorer. Over 2.5 for Florida and overtime. So yeah, we need what? We need 4-3. And it doesn't matter who wins.
Look, you when you're making same game parlays, you gotta build off a narrative. What's the narrative? Florida's gonna come out hot. Guys like Sam Bennett gonna get a ton of shots, so he's gonna have more chances. Tampa's gonna come back because that's what they do. They're a veteran team. They're gonna tie it late. We get the over with 3 goals for Florida. We get Sam Bennett. We got the Panthers coming out quick, and we got OT. That's how it's going to go. We see a 3-3 game tied up late by Tampa and goes into overtime with Bennett scoring. It's all going to work out great.
I love it.
Never fail.
I love the confidence. 22-1. That's pretty good.
I'll tell you, that's honestly how you should build same game parlays, though. You've got to build a narrative.
Yep.
You look for value too.
Build a story. Right. It's like writing a paper. Write your paper. And the beauty of it is you don't have to risk much to screw it all up.
Hey, go to the series props for a sec.
Sure.
For the NHL. Because there is a bet I still really like there.
Ooh, okay. Series props. There we go.
Yeah, Rangers. What are the Rangers at?
Rangers are plus 250.
Yeah, I love that one. Every game's been close. The goaltending is going to tip back in the Rangers' favor. They did it against Pittsburgh. Yeah, love this. Plus 250. I said get on plus 280, I think, after the first game, too. I know that didn't work out, but now we're at 2-1 again. And yeah, I like the Rangers, man. I think that eventually this team, they got young legs, too. And I mean, counts for something, man. Like, so I'm about this. I think that's a good bet. I look at the other series, too. Like, I just don't think St. Louis can get it done. I would never bet Calgary, even if I thought they were a good bet. I actually don't think they're a good bet here. I think Calgary could be in for it. I actually don't even mind the Oilers at minus 190, to be honest, but Rangers are the best bet there for me.
Okay. Very good. Yeah. Rangers have had, they had a good home record this year, 27-10-4. Yeah, I think that's definitely going to still be a series. No question. I guess if you like St. Louis tonight, you might want to get some action on the series. Probably if they tie this up at 2, what do you think that number becomes? Colorado minus 300 or something?
3. Yeah, it'd be like
minus 400.
St. Louis was minus 300 before, or sorry, plus 300 before the series. So it'd probably be like plus 2 something ish.
They'd still have to win 2 out of 3 in Colorado.
Yeah,
right?
It's obviously it's easier to win 2 games than 4. So I mean, I think their odds wouldn't be plus 300 again. It would be more like plus 2. Yeah, plus 200, plus 240.
Okay. All right, that's all the time we have. We have to get going. We talked a lot of golf to start the show. Charles Schwab is this weekend. Jeff will be back. Jeff's on the sweat during the week. But for an extensive look at Charles Schwab, be sure to tune in on Wednesday when we have the slate, the golf guys, the golf gurus, as they like to call themselves. Yeah,
the gorgeous golf gurus. That's us.
GG, the triple G.
Yeah. We'll be doing a golf breakdown Wednesday. I'm actually on with Reed this Thursday as well.
Right.
Covering for Mr. Celtic himself. So
yeah, because if they lose tonight and Wednesday, they're done. So
he'll just be off for a month. So
it'll be Celtics therapy.
Celtics therapy, right?
They better not lose tonight, or I'll be.
Like, you might need Celtics therapy.
Yeah, for sure. We'll have to give
you can get a group rate.
There you go. Celtics therapy, the group rate. Very good. Speaking of Adam Kaufman, he's in tomorrow. He'll be here for me. I'll be in on Friday since he'll be wherever he needs to go. So Kauf will be here tomorrow to talk basketball. If the Celtics win, he'll be in a better mood. If they don't win, you might. Actually, you know something? The Celtics kind of need to win because Golden State and Dallas, that series is already over. One of these series has to be good. So can we at least agree on that? We need the Celtics to win tonight to make some of these series, at least one of these conference finals, any bit worth watching.
Well, my biggest thing is, like, is Miami even capable of giving Golden State a run? I mean, I don't.
Yes, defensively they can.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. We need to.
I don't know enough about basketball.